So these are all the animal factory farms, and all these animals live inside these walls like right now, every minute, in every country, but we obviously never see it. Well, this is because the film includes all kind of animal exploitation. We're going to talk about the one in the food industry right now. Well, it's 2 minutes, and luckily we didn't see the bloody part, so I'm just gonna put the presentation. Okay, so do any of you know how many humans have existed in the history of the world? Ballpark? Can any of you come up with a number?
How many? What?
Yeah, humans have existed in
Have existed or exist right now?
have existed like throughout the history of the world.
14 billion.
Sorry?
14 billion.
14 billion. Okay, first I forgot. I wanted to ask you, what do you think of the situation with this production? Like completely non-judgmental. I just want to ask, are you informed? Do you have an opinion about it? Yeah?
Well, I agree with what we see, but I have to note this side note because this is probably not in a European country.
Yeah?
And in a European country, it wouldn't be possible what we saw. And also in the slaughterhouses, I think that's maybe, well, a side note here to place.
Yeah.
I definitely don't agree that we
Yeah.
have animals on this kind of scale. That
Yeah.
you,
The thing is, if you look up how it works in European countries, it's exactly the same way. Yeah. Also in the Netherlands, there's a town here where they produce chickens, and there's actually a lot of meat export as well. But obviously there is a different scale in the conditions, and I don't know, because in most developed countries you have intensive farming because you need to feed a lot of people. And but of course there are different conditions, like you can have animals that are in better conditions. Unfortunately, around 97% of food production comes from intensive farming, but I do agree that it's different, like depending on the conditions that the animals were in. Of course, it's like so back to my other question about how many humans have ever existed. Ballpark, that is around 107 billion humans. Right now we should have like 7.5 billion to 8 billion, or I don't know exactly. But throughout the history of the world, we've had 107 billion people. Now, how many land mammals do you think we slaughter each year for food? Any guesses?
200 billion.
Okay. So every year we slaughter around 60 billion land mammals, right? Compare that to the amount of humans that have been in the history of the world. And from sea life, we consume around 130 billion. Yeah?
Every year, like in the rate we're doing it now, or because I think it's like
Yeah, probably so. It's exponentially. The thing is,
From a few years back.
this I think is around now. But for example, for wildlife, for sea life, it is such an estimate because the industry doesn't really disclose. There's a lot of political lobbying because of all the income and all the like things that are involved here. So there's really no clear numbers on this. So basically, every year we slaughter in animals the more than the amount of humans that have lived throughout the history of the world. Now, can we think about the consequences that this might have on our planet as well? Because each of these animals had to be fed throughout their entire lives. So when I eat a cow, I'm not only eating that cow, I'm eating the food that that cow ate through its, let's say, 2 years of life in the short span that they have. So, and I'm also eating all the water that she drank and all the water that went into the agriculture that was used to produce that food. Now that's a lot of food that goes into feeding these animals that could be fed directly to humans. Now this has another consequence, which is all this agriculture has all this deforestation. And this also affects wildlife a lot. In the last 50 years, we have reduced over 40% of wildlife in the planet. I think it's around 50%. I don't want to say like exaggerated, but this a lot is attributed to the deforestation that is being done to produce the agriculture to feed these animals. For example, in the Brazilian Amazon, and this was in 2000, 2005, but around 60 to 65% of the agriculture that was produced and deforestation of wild forests was going just to produce agriculture to feed cattle. So efficiently wise, it seems like we could do it a bit differently. And we could actually, you know, start to make a huge change that could, man, it would change everything. Like, things are great. I mean, we have so many opportunities. We have such a developed world. Us particularly, well, we have education, but we could so quickly make such a beautiful thing and save so much suffering because, I mean, I care a lot about the suffering of these animals, but that's every person, and this turns into discussions about values. And this is personal, and this is not like, you have to do this. It's like completely personal. I'm not better than anybody here, and this is not about veganism and the word, and this is not about a trend, but it's a personal journey. I'm deviating. What I'm trying to say is that I'm personally very excited because I'm here and I'm alive, and I don't want to be a part of something that damages so much. And I want to invite you all to consider this. You know, I don't know if you already have, but consider these facts when we make our choices, and we make so many choices. And we're, yeah?
Yeah, you say damaging, but what are we damaging? Are we damaging, like, you mean, like planet, or like ourselves, those animals, like,
Yeah.
you swallow them? What's the point of what you're telling here?
The point is all of those that you just mentioned. It's dependable about yourself. I think for sure the animals, but it's up to you whether you care about what they go through. It's like values and beliefs. Yes, the planet, in a way. World hunger. I mean, what do you think? What's your opinion on it? Because
Well, my opinion is the planet doesn't really care. Like, the only one that should care are like the humans,
Mhm.
and like they have a different view on all those things. But like, well, if the planet is done, humans will be done as well, and
Yeah.
there won't be like any place to live anymore. being like fuck up, like really bad.
Yeah.
For common words. I think like the way you're giving this presentation is like you're begging us to do something, and I don't really get the point of what do you want from us, or what do you ask from people?
Yeah.
If you are giving this presentation, the next time I want you to have like a clear view of what do you want to bring. What message do you want to bring to the person you're talking to?
Yeah. I get your point. The message I want, I mean, what I hope, what I took from when I found these things is I don't want to consume meat. I don't want to consume milk. I don't want to, I don't want to do this. But it's a personal thing. You can decide not to eat as much meat. You can decide not to do this. So I guess it looks like but I'm not trying to tell you what to do in a way, because that's on each one of us, right?
Well, that's the whole problem, right?
Yeah.
You can't tell anyone what to do, but...
Yeah, for sure. It's a personal choice. And it's about how we decide to be,
Yeah, so that's what you should focus on. Like, how do people decide? Like, people decide right now, like, okay, I think my taste is more important than those animals.
Yeah.
I think if you give this presentation in the future, you should focus more on this part, like how do people decide, than begging them to do something for you, because people won't do anything for you. That's my message to you.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that's why I appreciate the feedback. Yeah, no, don't do it for me. But yeah, that's the presentation, I hope. Yeah?
Yeah, one question, because I know you were vegan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's like in the end the only way to do it, or do you think it's also possible to eat only one time a week?
I think
That's what
I think it's like you said, I think we all need to adapt to our needs. I think that if we're all more conscious, this can change. And you can have a different scale of production. It's about taking it into consideration. I think the less meat we eat, the better. So if you want to, like, if somebody wants to be vegan, they should be vegan. If somebody wants to have a certain days yes, certain day no, they should do that, But we should talk about it more. And also, this is not part of my presentation, and it's not what you see a lot, but man, like, I think so much about these animals. Like, I spent, I don't know, the last 3 years of my life just mentally struggling to not be depressed, to think about what they're going through, because they're alive. Like, I don't know what's inside their heads, but I know they're alive. And it's just, they can't defend themselves, But, yeah. Thank you, but, yeah?
In your situation, you need to look at what you want to get out of adjusting your diet. I feel like you really care about the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else might care about reducing your CO2 impact.
Yeah.
And a lot of, there's actually research done on what the different types of diets around the world, how they affect the climate.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of diets like the Mediterranean diet. The CO2 reduction as compared to a vegan or vegetarian diet is quite similar when you compare it to a regular Western diet. So if you go and live the Mediterranean way, you already reduce your CO2 impact by lots. So I feel like everyone can have a different reason to adjust their eating pattern. Because if you really, maybe if someone doesn't care about animal rights or about how animals feel, then at least you could care about CO2 reduction, or you could care about deforestation.
Yeah.
There's a reason for everyone to care about adjusting their diet.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to mention that I think I gave this presentation and I said all these facts that seem quite negative, but it's because you have to sort of base it on these facts. But I hope that you take from it something like FERC, something that, hey, maybe I want to start including this in my life, and maybe I could have, an impact on this change. Because the way I see it is, if we are all individuals, and the world is huge, and there's supply and there's demand, and you really need to give yourself the self-importance to realize it in the way.
Well, sorry for I did not try to interrupt you, but
No, that's okay.
to add on Ferg's point that everyone might have a different reason to adjust their diet. Either you care, for example, about animal welfare, and I think a lot of people do in a certain extent, but a lot of people don't really know what's really going on or don't want to know. Other people might care about the environment a lot, and adjusting your diet to that is then veganism, or eating less meat is a really good choice. Other people might care about their health a little bit more, more personal reasons. But there's actually a lot of world-class research that shows that coronary heart disease is one biggest killer in Western world, and that coronary heart disease can be reduced by at least a third if people did not consume as much meat and eggs and dairy as they do now.
Yeah, because most of the meat is very unhealthy, because, for example, there's a chicken, and naturally it would grow in, let's say, 1.5 years, and in 3 months it reaches the level, or 3.5 months it reaches that weight that it would in its entire lifetime. So that's a lot of hormones. But yeah, thank you for listening to me. I wanted to say this.